Imagine waking up every single day already exhausted. Your house smells like smoke, mud, and animals. The floor beneath you is dirt. Your back hurts from work you did yesterday, and the day before that, and every day since you were old enough to walk. You own almost nothing. You eat the same disgusting food every day. Disease is everywhere. Winter can kill your entire family. And the Lord who owns the land you work on can take most of what you grow. Anyway, welcome to medieval Europe, a world where being born a peasant basically meant the game was rigged from the start. And trust me, it was way worse than most movies make it look. For modern people, the Middle Ages often look romantic. Knights, castles, epic battles, fancy kings sitting on golden thrones. But for the average person, life was dirty, painful, exhausting, and brutally unfair, because nearly 90% of people during the medieval period were peasants. Not kings, not warriors, not nobles, peasants. And their lives were basically one long survival mission. So today, let's step into the muddy boots of a medieval peasant and see why life absolutely sucked. The first terrible thing: you didn't choose this life. If your parents were peasants, congratulations. You were probably going to be one too. There was almost no social mobility. You couldn't just follow your dreams. There was no college career change side hustle motivational podcast telling you to grind harder. Your destiny was decided before you could even speak. Most peasants were tied to land owned by nobles or lords. This system was called feudalism. And honestly, it was basically medieval DLC slavery. You worked the land, the lord got rich. You survived, barely. And if you tried to leave, good luck. Some peasants legally couldn't leave the land at all. Imagine being born somewhere and the government basically saying, yeah, you belong here forever. That was your reality. Now let's talk about where you lived. Forget cozy cottages from fantasy movies. A peasant house was basically a survival box made of mud, sticks, straw, wood. The roof leaked constantly, rain got in, cold air got in, smoke stayed trapped inside. And since fireplaces had poor ventilation, medieval homes were often filled with smoke. Imagine your eyes burning 24/7 while you're just trying to exist. Oh, and animals sometimes lived inside the house too. Chickens, goats, maybe even pigs. Not because peasants loved pets, because animals generated heat during winter. So yes, you could literally go to sleep beside livestock. And hygiene. Absolutely terrible. Bathing wasn't common for many peasants because clean water wasn't always nearby. Heating water took effort. People feared disease from bathing sometimes. So people smelled bad, like genuinely catastrophic levels of stink. Now combine sweat, manure, mud, smoke, no deodorant, no toothpaste. Yeah. The Middle Ages probably smelled like death itself. You know how people online romanticize organic medieval food? No. Most peasant food was repetitive and boring. A medieval peasant diet mainly consisted of bread, porridge, cabbage, onions, weak soup, meat. Rare. Very rare. If you were eating meat regularly, you were doing way better than most peasants. Many peasants suffered from malnutrition because their diets lacked balance, and during bad harvest seasons, things became terrifying. One failed crop could destroy entire villages. People starved constantly during famines. Parents sometimes had to watch their children slowly die because there simply wasn't enough food. And remember, you worked physically demanding jobs all day while eating the medieval version of struggle soup. That's brutal. Modern jobs are stressful, but medieval peasant labor? That was different. This was backbreaking work from sunrise to sunset. Every single season had labor: plowing, planting, harvesting, repairing, carrying, chopping, digging. There were no weekends, no vacations, no labor laws, no mental health day, and if you didn't work, you didn't eat. Simple. Even children worked. A peasant child's childhood ended fast. By around age 7 or 8, many children already had responsibilities helping their families survive. and the work destroyed people physically. By their 30s, many peasants already looked elderly because their bodies were worn down from non-stop labor. Imagine aging like a retired warrior, except all you did was farm cabbage. Now, here comes the nightmare part. Disease. Modern medicine didn't exist. Doctors barely understood the human body. Some medical treatments were so ridiculous they probably made things worse. Bloodletting, leeches, random herbs, prayers. That was basically medieval healthcare. And infections? Absolutely deadly. A tiny cut could kill you. Tooth infections could kill you. Childbirth could kill you. Everything could kill you. Then came the Black Death, one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. Entire villages disappeared. People watched friends and family die horribly. Swollen buboes, fever, blackened skin, unbearable pain. And since people didn't understand germs, many believed the plague was punishment from God. Witchcraft, evil spirits, fear consumed Europe. Imagine waking up one morning and half your town is dead. That was medieval reality. And honestly, after hearing all this, medieval peasant life might be one of the worst spawn points in human history. So, if you're enjoying the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more dark stories about history, mythology, and the terrifying realities of human life throughout time. Because trust me, history gets even darker from here. One of the worst parts about being a peasant? You had almost no power. The Lord controlled the land, taxes, laws, punishment, and nobles lived completely different lives from peasants. While peasants starved, nobles held feasts. While peasants slept in mud huts, lords lived in castles. The inequality was insane. And if taxes became too high, too bad. Peasants often owed labor, crops, money, military service, sometimes all at once. You could spend months growing food, only to hand much of it over to your lord. Imagine grinding for resources in a game only for another player to take most of it. That was feudalism. Winter during the Middle Ages was basically a survival horror game. No electricity, no heaters, limited food. If your harvest failed before winter, you were in trouble. Snow and cold could isolate villages completely. People froze to death. Animals died, food ran out, and since medieval homes insulated poorly, winters inside houses were miserable too. Families huddled together trying to stay warm while hoping spring arrived before starvation did. Every winter felt like a battle against death itself. Now sure, peasants still laughed and celebrated sometimes. Festivals existed, music existed. People danced, drank, and told stories. But compared to modern life, entertainment options were microscopic. No. Internet, movies, games, music streaming, social media, your entire world might just be your village. Many peasants never traveled far from where they were born. Imagine living your entire life within a few miles. That's hard to even comprehend today. And finally, you probably weren't living very long. Life expectancy in medieval times was incredibly low. Now, part of that comes from high child mortality. But even adults faced endless dangers: disease, famine, accidents, infections, war. Many people died before reaching old age. And honestly, your body was probably destroyed long before death anyway. A medieval peasant's life was survival from beginning to end. Not thriving, surviving. So next time somebody romanticizes the medieval era, remember this. Behind every castle, there were thousands of exhausted peasants struggling to stay alive. Behind every noble feast, there were starving workers in muddy fields. Behind every glorious kingdom, there were ordinary people carrying the entire society on broken backs. Medieval peasants built the world around them, but history rarely remembers their names. And honestly, after hearing what their lives were like, maybe that's because most of them were too busy trying not to die. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark reality of medieval life, subscribe for more videos on terrifying history mythology, forgotten human suffering, strange rituals, and the darker side of civilization. And tell me in the comments, what historical time period do you think would be the worst to live in? Because personally, the Middle Ages are definitely fighting for first place. See you in the next story.